Hi everyone, this is Helloangel.design. Today I'm going to show you how to make this super cute zipper pouch with round top. You can see the top is slight round. In this zipper pouch, I'm going to show more details about how to stitch it. In my other video that I upload on my YouTube channel, someone make a comment that how do you stitch the lining. So I will show you more details about how to stitch the lining and the made fabric together. You don't have to separate the lining when you're stitching the top, when you're giving it a top stitch. You don't have to separate the line, you have to put them together. I will show more details about that. And I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and you also watch this video so that you can be able to make a zipper pouch for yourself or your loved ones. Thank you for watching. If you're just stopping by, thank you also for watching. And don't forget to subscribe, and let's get started. If you're going to make this zipper pouch with curved edge, you have to draw a pattern paper. The length is 21 centimeter while the width is 19 centimeter. Once you've drawn your pattern paper, make sure you also know the mid part of the pattern paper. Then take your armhole curve from the mid part, draw a curve, and you come to this end and you also do the same thing. If you're going to make a box, make sure is going to be 2.5 centimeter. So if you're placing it on your fabric, make sure you also add seam allowance on both sides. You can see seam allowance on both sides. And you cut two fabric from the front into fabric of the lining. As you can see, this African print will be the lining and the Dana will be the front of the zipper pouch. And don't also forget, you also have to cut interfacing. Make sure you cut two pieces of interfacing. First thing, what you have to do, you take your fabric and your interfacing, put it on top of it like this, stick it to your ironing board, press along. And you also take the second one of the same fabric, place your interfacing like this, and also take it to your ironing board and also press along. I have ironed my interfacing on the fabric, so the next thing to do is just to cut out the excess. Now that you have cut out the excess of the interfacing, the next thing to do, put them together. Make sure you know the mid part of the fabric. And you also take your lining, you do the same thing, the mid part of the fabric. And then you also take your zip, put them together. Make sure you also know the mid part of your zip. I have cut the mid part of the fabric, and I also do the same thing with the lining and so with the zip. So the next thing, what you have to do, remember you have 1 centimeter seam allowance. Just take your marker and mark that in place. You can see that right here. And then take your zip. You can see this is the mat of the zip. Turn it like this and place it also with the mid part of the fabric. and take your pin or your clip. Once you have done pinning, take it to your sewing machine. Go ahead and get a top stitch all the way to the end. Before you do that, remember this is 1 centimeter seam allowance. Just put a pin to make it different. So you're going to stitch up the way to this point. And then you come to this other side, you do the same thing. Take your pin so that you know where you're going to start from. So you start from here and stitch it all the way to the end. So this is where my 1 centimeter, like I said before, I place a pin right there. Then you have to start from there. Make sure you back stitch at the beginning, back stitch at the end. You get to where the needle is, raise your presser foot, then zip it all the way. Place your presser foot again and continue. So I have stitched it in place, as you can see. The next thing to do, place your lining. Make sure both fronts are facing each other. The mid part first. Pin it in place. Once you have done pinning, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way to the end. So if you're going to stitch the lining on top of it like this, you turn your fabric. You can see your stitch line before. Just continue from your stitch line and stitch it all the way to where the 1 centimeter begins. From here and ends here. I have stitched the lining. When you open it, you can also see there is a top stitch on the lining side. So you don't have to stitch the lining separate. There is a top stitch already. The moment you put your lining on top of the made fabric like this and you top stitch all the way around, there is also stitches on this other side. Once you have done that, then turn it inside out. Now this is the front of the zipper pouch. The next thing to do, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way to the end. Make sure both lining and the made fabric are together when you're top stitching. They are together like this. And just give it a top stitch all the way to the end. So when you're stitching around the top edge of the zipper pouch, change your zipper foot to normal stitch foot. I have changed my zipper foot to normal stitch foot. This is how it is, and this is the zipper foot. So if you have a sewing machine, this zipper foot always come with sewing machine. So I just changed this to this. And right now I'm going to top stitch. So place your fabric like this. You can see that both the lining and the made fabric are together. It's not separate. Place your needle and top stitch all the way to the end. I have top stitched the zipper foot. The next thing, also do the same thing. Make sure you know the mid part. Put it like this. You can see both fronts are facing each other. Place it like this and then pin all around. Once you have done pinning, make sure you measure 1 centimeter from the edge. This is 1 centimeter. And you do the same thing here. 1 centimeter. So what you have to do, also take it to your sewing machine, stitch it all the way to where the 1 centimeter begins. From here all the way to the end. I have stitched it in place, as you can see. Like I said before, when you're placing your denim or any fabric that you're using, make sure the front are facing the mat of the zip. And then once you've done stitching, then turn it like this. This is the lining, and make sure both lining are also facing each other. And this will be the back of the zip. So the lining is facing like this, and put the mid part together. Pin along. Once you have done pinning, take it to your sewing machine. When you're stitching again, turn your fabric again. Continue from the stitch line before, so that the lining, also the stitch line, will show at the back. I have stitched it in place. Stitch the lining in place, as you can see. And I also take it to my ironing board. I press it very nice. The next thing to do is to take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch. So when you're stitching, make sure both your made fabric and your lining are together like this, and just stitch along. So the stitches will also show at the lining. You don't have to stitch the lining separate. The moment you top stitch, the both lining are together. It's not separate. So when you top stitch, the stitches that shows at the front of the fabric will also show at the lining. When you're going to top stitch, don't forget to back stitch at the beginning, back stitch at the end, and also change your zipper foot to normal foot. You can see I'm stitching, and also I'm stitching the lining. I did not separate the both. So I make sure both the lining and the made fabric are together. I have top stitch. The next thing to do is to make a box at the corners of the bag, here and also the lining. So you turn it like this. Measure 2.5 centimeters, 2.5 centimeters. So I have measured my 2.5 centimeter on both sides and also for the lining. So the next thing to do is to cut it out. Take your scissors, just go ahead and cut it out. I've cut out the corners, like I said before, 2.5 centimeter. I did the same thing with the lining, also on this side and also with the lining. The next thing to do is to cut a piece of fabric. The length is 18 centimeter while the width is 5 centimeter. So first thing what you have to do, fold it into two like this. So this is the mid part of the fabric, and then fold these edges, fold it into that mid part, and fold the second side into that mid part. Make sure when you're doing this, you take it to your ironing board, you press it very nice, and then fold it again, and then you press it properly. So the next thing what you have to do, take it to your sewing machine, stitch along on both sides. I have stitched it in place on both sides, then fold it into two, and then come to the end of your zipper. Make sure you separate your lining. Separate your lining like this. So you're going to just attach it on your made fabric. Place it like this. Take a pin it in place. Take it to your sewing machine. Just give it a straight stitch. Make sure when you're stitching, check your fabric that you're not stitching your lining. You can see that I separate the lining. I'm only stitching the made fabric. So place your presser foot and just give it a back stitch 2 to 3 times. You can also go ahead and stitch your label if you're making it to sell or you're just making it for yourself. I have stitched it in place. The next thing to do is to put the back together like this. and take a pin along. See, the mat of the zip is facing the lining. Once you have done pinning it all around, the next thing to do is to take it to your sewing machine, stitch it all the way to the end, continue from here all the way to the end. From here to here, you have to leave a gap about 1.5 inch to turn it inside out. Stitch from here, end here, continue from here to the end, and all the way to the end. I have stitched it all around. You can see this is where I left open, where I'm going to turn it inside out. The next thing to do is to put the box corner together like this. Open the seam apart like this. And make sure both sides seam. You can see the bottom edge of the fabric, the side seam are facing each other. You just take your pin along. I have stitched it in place. The next thing to do is to turn it inside out. As you can see, and I also take it to my ironing board just to press the seam apart. I will just cut out this excess of the zip. So put your hand inside the gap you left open and keep pushing it out. So the next thing, the open gap, close it like this. Take it to your sewing machine and just give the straight stitch. So this is the final look of the zipper pouch. This is how it is. I just take it to my ironing board and press it again. Make sure you also do that. Lest I forget, before you close your zipper pouch all around, make sure you open your zip halfway like this, so that when you're done stitching, you can be able to turn it inside out. If the zip is all the way closed, you cannot turn it inside out. Sorry, I should have mentioned that, but I forgot about it, so I've just decided to mention it again. This is the final look, and this is how the inside look, which is really, really beautiful. This is how the inside look. You see how beautiful that is. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe and also thumbs up. And if you have any question, put it on the comment section. And have a beautiful day. Bye.